Welcome to the program. I'm Tracy Bowden. Those stories shortly, but first to Queensland, where the flood disaster continues. Rockhampton remains the centre of the crisis. Most of the vital transport links to the city are now cut, and a temporary airbase for emergency service helicopters has been set up on the outskirts. Meanwhile, the residents of St George, 500 kilometres west of Brisbane, are bracing for flood levels not seen since the 1890s. The damage bill is rising daily and is expected to reach into the billions. Shortly we'll be crossing to Rockhampton for the latest, but first this report from John Taylor.
In flood-affected Queensland, life has a new rhythm. Parts of Rockhampton have become Venice, but in the most unromantic of ways.
Just going down home to check on things.
There are no gondolas here, just tinnies and dinghies. 67-year-old Les Pye has lived in his house for more than 2 decades.
I come back here every night and then, in the morning again. Keep an eye on things, and everyone around here keeps an eye on one another.
He's betting the floodwaters won't enter his home. And one thing he's not is frightened.
No. Christ, we're commercial fishermen for 40 years and been through cyclones and out the reefs and up the coast and God knows what, This is a breeze.
But Rockhampton, with a population of 75,000 people, is for the moment at the centre of Queensland's flooding crisis. The Fitzroy River is expected to peak perhaps tomorrow at 9.4 metres, with hundreds of homes flooded.
Well, at this stage we're still expecting the inundation over floorboards to be about 400. We're not sure how many are over the floorboards at the moment at the 9.2 metre mark. We have about nearly 80 people that are staying at the emergency evacuation centre, and we are still expecting that there will be 4,000 parcels of land throughout this region inundated with water.
At the showground, thousands of sandbags have been filled to give out to the public.
Everybody here today is a volunteer. These guys have just turned up because they want to do something to help out the community, and they don't know where to go to help people out, and they're just driven past and decide to drop in and help out.
This has been a slow-motion disaster that has taken weeks to arrive. It's also going to take a long time for the water to clear.
There is a suggestion that this may remain at the peak, whatever that peak is, for a period of up to 2 days. Then as it starts to drop and flatten out, it's likely to be about 10 days or so that it could stay at or up to 10 days at about the 8.5 metre mark, which indicates that we will have significant water inundation for the best part of nearly up to another 2 weeks.
It'll also take a long time to assess the true cost of the floodwaters.
The preliminary estimates that have been made thus far centre around 0.25% to 0.5% of Australia's GDP. That's a figure equivalent to between $3 and $6 billion. Because the floods have occurred over the year break, that is, some in December, some in January, the effects are going to show up in both the December and the March quarters, so they won't be as big in a single quarter as if this, for example, had occurred since New Year's Day, but it's still going to be a noticeable impact when the figures are eventually released.
In flood-affected areas, animals have been forced to take whatever shelter they can find. Valuable crops near the point of harvest have been destroyed, and the mining industry is also reeling. 3/4 of all coal fields are unable to operate and supply markets.
Queensland supplies almost half the world's coking coal at the moment, and estimates are that the floods are costing $400 million a week in export income foregone. Now, eventually that will be made up when the mines reopen and rail transport is restored, and as all those ships waiting off the Queensland coast get filled up again. But some of the other losses, particularly estimates ranging up to $1 billion of lost agricultural production, represent permanent losses, and they'll be wiped off this year's farm income and this year's national income.
In Emerald, west of Rockhampton, miners who haven't been able to work for weeks are helping clean the town.
I know, just cleaning out, mate. We finish this one. We'll probably go over here and give these guys a hand. And anyone else that wants a hand, we'll just go around. The company will tell us where to go next.
Not far from Emerald is the Fairbairn Dam. It's currently at 151% of its capacity. An amount equal to half the water in Sydney Harbour is flowing over the spillway every day. St George is a cotton and grazing town near the New South Wales border, home to a few thousand people. It's now bracing for the worst, with predictions 80% of the town could be inundated next week. Roads are already cut and levees and sandbag walls are being built. It'll be the town's second major flood in less than a year, and many have had enough.
I've just finished repairing it from the last time, and here we go again. Anyway, I feel sorry. There's a person down there. She lives in Chinchilla, and her and her dad have spent all this bloody money down there fixing this place up, and now it's going to go under again. That's a direct hit in the pocket, isn't it? A bit sad.
Queensland's flood crisis is far from over, and even when the rivers finally do peak, it won't be the end.
This is a prolonged flooding event in Queensland, and it is unlikely to recede in the very near future, and we expect that once the peaks have been reached in and around a lot of these centres, that the waters will remain high, that is about major flood levels, for some days after that event.
John Taylor with that report.